So first you want to gather all your elements. You have your container that's lined with plastic. We have our rosemary that's trimmed like a Christmas tree, our orchid plant, moss, we have pine cones, our little decorative berries. We have a little pretend cardinal here, cedar, another container for the cedar with floral foam already soaked and put inside, red dogwood branches, and orchid bark. And then I also have a little garland for the rosemary tree. So gather everything together, and then you're gonna start to put it together. So the first thing we want to do is we want to create our little nest for our cardinal. So we're gonna take this, it's a candle holder and a little brick of floral foam, about maybe 1/6 of a brick of soaked floral foam. So what we're going to do is just create a little bit of evergreen in the middle of our design. So we're going to take this and we're going to cut our cedar so that the stems have about 1 inch with no greenery on it. So we peel those off and we cut and we place into this floral foam really pretty quickly. So you're going to cut and place. We're just going to put it all around like kind of like in a circle. So you just go all the way around the top of the container, and you want to start around the edge, and then after you do the edge you're going to go into the middle until you cover all of that foam up. We don't want to see any foam when we're done, so I'm just going to go all the way around, keep going, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. So there we have a nest, and before I add my bird in, I'm going to add a little accent of sea holly, which is a nice, it looks like thistle, but it's soft. It's not like a hard thistle. And it's got a soft blue color to it. So it's kind of nice, wintry, sort of icy looking flower. And it lasts a long time in a vase, and it dries really well. So I like adding this. So I've got 2 stems of this, so I'm going to add about, I don't know, 5 to 7 stems of that, just to give a little more interesting look to the middle of this design. And if you wanted to, you could accent it with another kind of flower or an orchid or rose or something, but we're really just trying to give a little nest for our bird here. So I have my little cardinal here, and I'm going to press that. It's on a little metal spike, so I'm just going to press it into my design and then bend it so that he looks kind of like he's just perching on maybe one of those little flowers in the design. If you buy your orchids with plastic on it, you want to carefully remove the plastic. If you just pull it off, you might end up pulling some of the orchid flowers off. So we're going to gently remove this. Like, I like to rip the plastic off, kind of opening it up like a present, like that. And then if there's a little care card on it, take that off. You don't want to have the care card in there. So now we have our orchid ready to go. So our 3 pieces are ready to go. This already has a little pot there. I'm just going to keep the pot in the pot. That's fine. How do you water this? So just so you know, you want to add water to this like every day. Make sure the water comes up. For the orchid, you want to put an ice cube here in the top once a week. That will water the orchid and it won't drown it. So once a week, just place an ice cube in there, let it melt. That will water that. For the rosemary, you can't really take it out of the thing. So you could do the same ice cube treatment. You could just stick a couple ice cubes in the top every day because this drinks a lot. You also want to make sure when you're displaying this that this is near a bright window. You need to have it near some bright light. So let's put our Pot-et-Fleur together. So we need our container. So let's get our container just here. And it has the plastic liner in it. And before we can add these things, because if I just add this in, look how far down that goes. That's too far down. So I need to add something in here. And instead of adding newspaper or that'll get soggy and wet or styrofoam, which is very expensive, I'm going to use something natural, orchid bark. So there's a bunch of different kinds of orchid bark. This one is like a larger size, so it's better for this purpose. They have all different kinds of sizes of orchid bark. So we want kind of a larger size. So I'm going to put a layer in the bottom. And then I'm going to test and see if it's a good height. So I want this to be just below the lip of the vase because I'm going to add moss and pine cones. That looks pretty good to me. I'm going to put my orchid maybe kind of tilting this way. Let's see how my tree looks. So I'm going to put the tree over on the side. That looks good. I think I want my orchid plant to sit a little higher. I think I want both of them to sit a little higher. So let's put a little more bark. Why am I using bark? Because when I add other items in, I can just stick them in and they should stay where I want them to stay. And then I can move the bark around, like dig holes and then push this in so that it stays where I want it to go. And then of course I'm going to add bark around. So this is a little good. It's just below the lip of the vase, which I like. Let's put this sideways so that the leaves are going this way, front and back. Then I have my cute little cardinal nest. So let's place that in here. It's not the star. This is supposed to be low in the design. Push that around, get it underneath the orchid, and let's see how it looks. Don't want this to go sideways. I want everything to be upright. I need everything to stay in place. So the way to do that is to add more orchid bark. But I just need to add like a little bit at a time. So you need like a little, like a cup or a container that you can kind of pour it in around the side of the vase, inside the liner, so that all of your containers are going to stay in place. So let's do that. So I'm going to take some, a little bit at a time, and pour it in until I have everything in the spot I want it to be in. So I'll fast forward it for you so you don't have to watch me doing it. Okay, so I placed everything in there. So now that's not going anywhere. It's in place, it's organic, so it looks nice. If you see a little bit, everything is tucked in and secure. So when I pick this up and move it, nothing's gonna fall over. So you definitely wanna make sure that that's good to go. Before we start adding all of our accents, we need to cover up some of this, this look with moss, or you could just stop and not use the moss and just use the orchid bark if you want. But I like to add the moss because I think it looks a little bit more festive and not so much like every day. So I'm going to add moss around the lip of the vase like this, and make sure you keep it nice and tidy. Make sure the green bits show up at the top because moss has two sides. It has a brown side and a green side. So we want to show the green side, and this also helps keep the moisture in the plants. So the bark will help, but the moss will really keep the moisture in the plants in a good way. So I've just tucked the moss in around, tuck it down. This greenery is getting a little out of hand. I can move that over to the side. So this looks great, but it's not super festive yet. It just has a little baby cardinal in there. So I think we need to make it a little bit more festive. So I'm going to show you how to do that next. We have these red dogwood stems. And what I'm going to do with these is, a lot of times the orchid looks kind of lonely without something around it. So what you see a lot of times florists will do, or orchid growers, is they'll put some other branches around to kind of accent, depending on the time of year, the flower or the orchid. And so you don't want to compete too much with the flowers. So you want to add a few stems like this just below where the flowers are, and maybe try to keep it odds, like maybe odd numbers, and just use the tips. And how I'm sticking these in, they're actually going into the orchid pot itself, and we're just trying to give a little bit more so the orchid stem doesn't look so lonely. And then we're adding a little bit of a festive red accent to the design also. So I've got 4 in there. I think I need maybe 5, 6, 7 I'm going to do. Let's see. So I like, this has some interesting pieces here, so I'm going to trim it just above that and have this piece sort of coming out at you. And I'm trying I don't want to hurt the orchid, so I'm just going to go maybe next to it here. So I have a couple artificial berries that are great for this time of year for any kind of designing you're going to do. If you're going to do wreaths or in this case centerpieces, things that are kind of last a long time, it's okay to combine real things with imitation things as long as they're high end, I think, and they look nice. So we're going to do one of those jewel ones on this one, on this side, that looks kind of frosty, and then let's keep it upright on this side, like so. And then, we have that cardinal, and these are wired, so we can kind of make the wires make it look a little bit more out, so it takes more room in the design. And I think we want to have one kind of in the middle going with that cardinal, and I'm going to bend these guys out. It's all wired, bend it out to make it take more space up, and bring your eye over maybe this side of my tree. That's really wherever you want to add it. It's fun. And then before we add our pine cones, we'll take, this is like a little bead garland. You could do any kind of chain. And I'd like to start up near the top, and you can just tuck the end down into the middle, and you're going to go around your tree, sort of at an angle. Try not to pull too tight. It's just like ribbon, like if you had a ribbon on a real tree. So we're just going around. The gold of the garland matches the gold of the pot. And this is totally optional. It's just something fun if you wanted to add a little bit more festive look to your tree. I'm going to cut it and then just tuck it in. It doesn't have to be secured really. So for this big pine cone, I've got a large wire pick. So I take the wire, and it doesn't matter where you wrap it around as long as you can get it around the middle. And then you can get the 2 wires to meet again. And then once you get the wires to meet again around the middle of the pine cone, you twist. Because the pine cone doesn't have a stem. So you have to really just go through the middle of the pine cone. And now it's ready to go into your design. And then when you stick it into the design, then it won't go anywhere. If this is too long, you just cut the pick to fit it into your arrangement. Here's another one. Here's a smaller pick, smaller pine cone. You just show you go right through the middle with the wire until you get the wire together, and then you just can twist the pine cone and then the wire, and then if you have excess wire, you just wrap the wire around the pick anywhere, and you can put it right into your arrangement, and it goes right into that orchid bark nice and easily. Same thing with this big one. I guess that's where I had that one, so let's put that right there, and then it's not gonna fall off. And I can put this one next to it. So that adds that nice like festive feel right there along the lip of the vase. And last but not least, you're going to go around and tuck in pine cones wherever you want, however many you want. I've got some medium-sized ones, so I might put those, you know, kind of at the base. And have them facing however you want. I think I might put this one here. But again, I think I'll go through and wire them in. So take my pick and wire my pine cone so that I have it hanging from the pick. I'll do a close-up of that, obviously, and then just stick it into that orchid bark, and then it's not going anywhere. Everything is pushed in and it's secure. You can add as many pine cones as you want, but I would recommend that you definitely wire each one so that when somebody moves the centerpiece to take it home with them or whatever, then those pine cones don't fall off. Just definitely want to keep putting them everywhere around the base so you have it. Make sure that your little bird is in the nest. If you want to add more flowers to that middle nest, you can. Like little white spray roses could be cute, or maybe a larger rose, but I really feel like you want to draw the eye up here. So, thanks for joining me, Kit Wertz with Flower Duet.